Hi guys. Okay, so welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay? Oh, yung hindi pa nagsusubscribe, yan So subscribe na. Okay, and sa mga subscribers natin, so again, thank you for watching my videos. And of course, especially doon sa mga nagla-like. Okay, so as mentioned in my previous post, okay, so dahil naka 5,000 subscribers na tayo, no? Okay, so as a way of saying thank you, magiging regular na yung ating uploading, ano? Okay, so at least one video, okay, per week. Okay, and for today, okay, for this week, ang ating in-upload ay hindi ito part ng aming regular lecture. So this is a special lecture. Ayan, so specially made for Ray Ocampo online subscribers. Yan. So actually mainit itong kay usapin ngayon dito sa Create, yung Create Bill. Okay, na naipasa na sa bicameral conference, kay committee. So okay, pirma na lang pirma na lang ng presidente ang kulang. Okay, so ang question ngayon dyan, paano i-account? Okay, so yung pagbabago na yan okay, the tax law. Okay, so in particular, yung effect dun sa tax rates. Okay, so in this topic, our references. Okay, so of course, yung standard on accounting for income taxes. Ito yung PAS number 12. Okay, at ito, kare-release lang na interpretation, PIC or yung Philippine Interpretations Committee Q&A, okay, number 2020-07. So title, PAS 12, Accounting for the Proposed Changes in Income Tax Rates under the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises Act or yung CREATE Bill. Okay, so also another reference, yung PAS 10 on events after the reporting period. So dati tawag dyan. Okay, events after balance sheet date. Yan. Subsequent events. Okay, so yan ang ating references. So again, itong discussion natin will focus on yung accounting, okay, for the effect of change in tax rates. Now, isama na rin natin sa discussion itong PIC Q&A na ito. Okay, so recently released lang ito. Okay, so ito yung issues by the way itong PIC Q&A na yan, okay, will become part of PAS 12. Okay, so yung mga interpretations na yan issued by the PIC. Okay, equally authoritative yan So nagiging parte yan ng standard kung saan siya nagre-relate katulad yan. So specifically PAS 12 ito. Part ng ngayon yan ng PAS 12. Now, ang PIC pag nag-issue yan ng interpretation, ibig sabihin may mga issues. Okay, so ito yung mga issues na yon. Okay, so there are actually 3 issues resolved in this interpretation. So actually ito nung wala pa itong interpretation to, iniisip-isip ko rin ito. Paano ba no? Okay, magiging effect nitong create bill na ito sa pag-account sa income tax. So fortunately, okay, so talagang nag-issue na ang ating PIC ng guidance dito. So clear na siya actually. So very clear. So maganda yung release nitong interpretation na ito. Kinlarify yung mga issues, okay, na talagang nakasabay nitong pagpasa nitong create bill na ito. Okay, and specifically, ano yung mga issues na yan? Okay, number 1. Is the create bill considered substantively enacted as of December 31, 2020? Kasi may effect yan sa gagamiting tax rate. Okay, so ang requirement kasi ng PAS 12 in computing current tax assets, liabilities, pati na rin yung deferred tax assets and liabilities, dapat yung rate na enacted na or substantively enacted at the end of the reporting period. Okay, So, yan bang create bill considered substantively enacted as of December 31, 2020? Okay, so ito yung consensus. By the way, yung PIC Q&A na yan, okay, inapprove yan ng FRSC January 29, 2021. At ang effectivity niyan upon approval of the FRSC. So initiate ito ng na-approve ito ng PIC January 27. So dahil nga urgent ito, so yun, approve kagad ng FRSC January 29. Okay, so again, dahil approved na yan ng FRSC, that is now part of PAS 12. And that is equally authoritative. Okay? So ano ba ang consensus dyan sa PIC guidance na yan? In relation to issue number 1, is the create bill considered substantively enacted as of December 31, 2020? Ang sagot dyan, no. Okay, so as explained in the KPIC Q&A, because of the situation as of December 31, 2020, okay, so hindi pa siya considered substantively enacted as of December 31, 2020. Okay, as of now, hindi pa rin nga siya na sign into law. So, pwedeng may baguhin pa dyan. Okay, may ibito dyan ng president. Okay, or totally hindi niya i-approve yan. Okay, so also at December 31, 2020 kasi wala pa yung approved version ng bicameral conference committee. Okay, so kaya wala pa. Kaya hindi siya considered na substantively enacted. Considering yung ating enactment ng mga laws. Yan. Okay, as explained in that interpretation. So the next issue is the subsequent enactment. Okay, so ito nga as of now na-approve na ng bicameral conference committee. Okay, so sana na siya, hinihintay na lang yung pirma ng presidente. Yan. Okay? So, is the subsequent enactment of the create bill considered as an adjusting event? Okay? Ang consensus dyan, no din. So, hindi siya considered na subsequent event, rather, an adjusting event. Okay? So, kasi very clear dito yung PAS 10 in particular, yung paragraph 22H. So if the bill is passed into law after the balance sheet date, okay, but before the issuance of the audited FS, it is treated only as what? A non-adjusting event. So hindi siya adjusting event. Okay, so actually example yan okay, ng non-adjusting event dun sa PAS 10 paragraph 22 item H. And since yan ay non-adjusting event, disclosure of the nature of changes and impact to the financial statements is required. Of course, may materiality concept if the impact is expected to be significant. Okay, so non-adjusting event siya. Okay, kung yan ay maging law na, mapirmahan na, ma-sign in, pass into law na, okay, after balance sheet date, but before the issuance of the audited FS. Paano kung after na? Yan, after ma-file na yung, after na ma-issue yung FS, okay, saka pa siya na-enact into law. Then, if the bill is passed into law after the issue date of the current year, 2020 audited FS, but prior to the actual filing of the current year 2020 annual ITR, there is no subsequent event that requires related FS disclosure. Kasi tapos na yan, covered lang ng events after the reporting period, after the end of the reporting period, up to the date when the FS are authorized for issue. Kung na-issue na yung FS, wala na. Tapos na yung subsequent events period na binanggit dun sa PAS 10. Kaya lang, however, yan, companies may, hindi naman to required, may consider disclosing the general key features of the proposed bill and expected financial impact. Okay? So again, yung create bill na yan, hindi pa siya considered na substantively enacted at December 31, 2020. So ang ibig sabihin niyan, pag magko-compute ng current tax and deferred tax for 2020, anong gagamitin pa rin? Yung existing tax law as of December 31, 2020. Okay? Kung subsequently maging batas yan, okay, after the balance sheet date, then hindi siya considered na adjusting event. Okay? So non-adjusting event siya kung yan ay ma-enact into law bago ma-authorize for issue ang FS. Pero kung na-enact into law after na ma-authorize for issue yung FS, then okay, so hindi na siya considered a subsequent event for financial reporting purposes. But of course, okay, companies may consider disclosing yung general key features of the proposed bill and expected financial impact. Now, another issue, what is the impact on the calendar year 2020 and 2021 FS of companies covered by the reduced income tax rates in case the CREATE bill with retroactive effect in 2020 will be passed into law after the reporting period of a company. So ito nga, kung before okay, it's audited FS issue date and before actual filing of the current year 2020 annual income tax return. So ito, consider dito as non-adjusting event, so may disclosure requirement. So kung after, hindi na siya considered as subsequent event. Pero yun nga, pwedeng i-disclose. Yan. Ito siya. Ang tanong na lang dyan, paano yung specific accounting na? Unfortunately, hindi nagbigay na example, okay, sa PIC guidance na in-issue. Okay, so kaya gumawa tayo ng sarili nating example. So ito yon. So try natin to illustrate yung guidance na yan ng PIC. Plus of course yung provisions ng PAS 12 and PAS 10. Ito siya. Ito yung ating sample problem. Okay, so an entity wala. Yan. Okay. So an entity which started operations in 2020 has the following, so para lang masimplify, nag-start pa lang ng 2020, has the following information related to tax expense computation. So, ito for 2020, 2021. So, given dyan yung taxable profit. So, by the way, ang emphasis natin dito, case yung accounting, hindi yung pag-compute ng income tax. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga taxable income, deductible expenses, pang tax na yan. Okay? So, kaya dito sa problem, binigay na yung taxable profit. Yan. 2020, 2021. Cumulative temporary difference giving rise to future taxable amounts. Yan yung tinatawag na TTD. Taxable temporary differences. Yan. So taxable temporary difference yan. So nagke-create yan ng deferred tax liability. Okay? So by the way, yung other aspects ng accounting for income tax, so hindi natin covered sa discussion na ito. So by the way, meron tayong seminar last time dun sa NFJPIA. I think nasa NFJPIA page pa rin yun, yung discussion natin na yun. And also sa Team PRTC page. So you may refer to that. Okay? So yung other aspects ng accounting for income tax. So dito kasi ang focus natin yung tax rate. So dahil nga doon sa CREATE bill na yan. So next, cumulative temporary difference giving rise to future deductible amounts. Yan naman yung tinatawag na DTD. So kung yung taxable temporary differences ay magke-create ng deferred tax liability, yan namang deductible temporary differences will give rise to deferred tax asset. Okay? Now, the entity is subject to 30% corporate income tax under existing tax laws as of December 31, 2020. Okay? On November 26, 2020, so parang yung CREATE bill nga, Kaya proposed law was announced, actually na-approve na ng Senate on that date. Okay, lowering corporate income tax to 20% with retroactive effectivity to July 1, 2020. So actually, isa pa yan sa nagpapakomplicate yung retroactive effectivity niya. So even actually sa board exam, yan ang problema natin Okay, kasi merong 6 months rule. Ang problema ito, kung may retroactive effectivity, so technically daw kasama kasi effective siya July 1 Kasi ang wording kasi ng nasa syllabus hindi naman yung hindi yung kung kailan siya issued. Okay, or enacted. Kung hindi yung effectivity. So kaya technically makakasama yung create law na yan. Okay? So pagka na hindi tinanggal yung retroactive effectivity provision na yan. Now, this proposed law, so dito sinabi sa problem okay, this proposed law is not considered substantively enacted as of December 31, 2020. So anong implication yan? For 2020, itong gagamiting rate, 30%. But was eventually signed into law before the 2020 financial statements are authorized for issue. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Yung enactment na yan, subsequently is a non-adjusting event that will require disclosure. So, non-adjusting event siya. So, the company paid the 2020 income tax due of 150,000. Di na pinakita kung paano kinompute. Basta pagpalagay na lang natin tama yan. Okay? So, computed based on the new law in 2021. Of course, okay? So, yung 600,000 na yan, kapag silent, evenly earned yan. So, kaya yung one half niyan, 30%, tapos yung other half, okay, 20%. Okay? Now, ito yung questions. 2020 and 2021 total tax expense. So, to answer the requirement, first, alamin natin, ano ba yung total tax expense? Okay? As defined in PAS 12, tax expense is the aggregate amount included in the determination of profit or loss for the period in respect of current and deferred tax. So ang composition ng tax expense, dalawa, may current at merong deferred. Okay, now using the balance sheet approach, okay, so ang PAS 12 gumagamit yan ng liability method pero balance sheet approach. Parang naka-template na actually yung pag-compute ng tax expense. So generally ito siya. So yung current tax expense, ito yung taxable profit times applicable tax rate. Yung deferred, ito yung deferred actually. Yan. Yung net change in deferred tax liability and deferred tax asset. So, kukumputin yung ending. Okay, deferred tax asset liability. Babawas mo yung beginning. So, yung difference, either increase yun or decrease. So, current, deferred. Kaya lang, for disclosure purposes, okay, bakit nagbago yung deferred tax liability, deferred tax asset? Ano yung reason bakit nag-increase, nag-decrease? Pinapa-disclosure. Particularly, ito. Okay? Generally, change in DTL, DTA yung deferred tax. Kaya lang ang tanong, bakit nag-increase? Bakit nag-decrease? Yun, pinapa-disclose. So, ito siya. Okay, so in accordance with PAS 12 or IAS 12, okay, so required i-disclose yung major components. Okay, so yung major components of tax expense or income, okay, so separately. So ano yan? So components of tax expense or income may include, ito na yung specific composition, okay, na pinapa-disclose separately. Okay, so of course yung current tax expense, any adjustments recognized in the period for current tax of prior periods yan. Magiging relevant this time yan. Okay, sa 2021 dahil nga doon sa nagbagong tax rate. So ang gagamitin sa 2020, 30. Pero yung actual na binayaran based dun sa 20 tsaka 30. So kaya magkakaroon ng adjustment yan. Okay? So kaya lang sa 2021 ito. The amount of deferred tax expense or income relating to the origination, okay, and reversal of temporary differences. Okay? So pwedeng nag-arise, okay, during the period yung temporary differences na yan or nag-reverse in the current period. So nag-arise siya previously tapos ni-reverse in the current period. So kaya nga ito, it will either increase or decrease deferred tax asset liability. The amount of deferred tax expense or income relating to changes in tax rates or imposition of new taxes. So sa problem na ito yung mga magiging relevant. Of course, this one for 2020, this one also. Okay, so ito yan, no? Mayroong okay, TTDs and DTDs. This one, nagbago yung tax rates. The rest actually hindi na relevant. So just take note of that. Okay? So ito yung amount of the benefit arising from previously unrecognized tax loss, tax credit, or temporary difference of a prior period. So ito kasing deferred tax asset, bago i-recognize yan, ang requirement, syempre ang asset dapat may probable future economic benefits. Ang deferred tax asset, may benefit yan kung may pagdididakan yan later on. So ibig sabihin, merong taxable amount in the future. Kung wala, then there's no benefit from the deduction. Okay? So kaya pwedeng minsan hindi nire-recognize yan. Pero later on, okay, nire-reassess yan at the end of each period. So pwede nang i-recognize. So ito yon yung dating hindi ni-recognize. Tapos ginamit to reduce current tax expense. Ganon din yung letter F, pero ito naman to reduce deferred tax expense. So previously unrecognized. Yan. Okay, itong letter G, ito yung asset, every end of the period, ina-assess kasi yung deferred tax asset. So pagka hindi na siya asset, nira-write down. Tapos later on, asset ulit, nira-reverse yung write down. Yan. So ito naman, nagkaroon ng changes in accounting policies and errors. Retro yan, di ba? Retro. Okay? So yung effect niyan sa retained earnings normally. Kaya lang, dahil hindi ma-account retro, naging prospective. So kaya pumasok sa profit or loss. So yan yung components ng tax expense na pinapadisclose. Okay, sa problem na ito yung relevant. Okay? Now, for 2020, syempre wala mo na to. Okay? And this one. Yan. So, ang relevant sa atin sa 2020, okay, current tax and yung deferred tax expense or income relating to the origination, kasi first year pa lang origination of temporary differences. So, ito yung current, ito yung deferred. Okay? Sige nga. Para mas ma-emphasize natin yung accounting, gawa natin ang journal entries. Gawa tayo ng entries. Okay, so again, as noted earlier, yung measurement ng current tax and deferred tax, anong gagamiting rate? Using tax rates and tax laws that have been enacted or substantively enacted by the end of the reporting period. So ganun din. Okay, yung sa deferred tax. So since yung bagong law ay hindi pa naman substantively enacted at December 31, 2020, ang gagamitin pa rin 30%. So yung enacted na, yung existing na at December 31, 2020. Okay? So again, considered lang ito as non-adjusting event. Okay? So at 30%, so gawa tayo ng entries. So to recognize current tax expense. Okay, paano ko computein ang current tax? Taxable profit times applicable tax rate. So 600,000 times 30%. Entry. Debit, income tax expense. Credit, income tax payable. So ito yung tinatawag na current tax liability. Yan. Ito yung current tax expense. Okay, now, recognition of deferred tax liability on TTDs. So, taxable temporary differences. So, 200,000. Okay? Times 30%. So, 30% din ang gagamitin. So, again, use the tax rate enacted or substantively enacted at the end of the reporting period. Okay? At dahil hindi pa nga substantively enacted yung bagong law na sinasabi dyan, ang gagamitin pa rin 30%. Current and deferred tax. Okay? So, entry. Debit, income tax expense. So, yan yung deferred tax. Credit, deferred tax liability. So, ito namang deductible amounts. Yan naman yung tinatawag na DTD. Deductible Temporary Differences. So, kung yung taxable ay magke-create ng deferred tax liability, ito namang deductible deferred tax asset. Okay? So, 100,000 times 30%. So, again, use 30%. Okay? So, yan kasi yung enacted as of December 31, 2020. Okay? So, entry. Debit, deferred tax asset. Credit, income tax expense. So, yung increase in liability, increase in expense. Increase in deferred tax asset, decrease in expense. Okay, kaya ito yung composition of the 2020 tax expense. Current tax, this one. Then deferred tax. At ano yung deferred tax? Okay, deferred tax expense on the TTD. So ito yung origination of the taxable temporary differences. Then deferred tax income or benefit on the DTDs. So income or benefit. So ito yung current, ito yung deferred. So kung sakali ang itatanong sa atin, deferred tax, ito siya. Inenet mo ito. Yan yung deferred tax expense. So current tax, deferred tax, total tax expense. So answer number 1, letter A. Okay? Nakuha ba natin yan? So mas maganda kung sinolve mo muna, no? Okay, bago ka nanood nito ating video. Yan. So by the way, nakapost ito yung problem na yan sa ating kay public group na Ray Ocampo Online followers. Yan. So kung hindi ka pa member, magpa-member ka na ng group na yun. Okay, so that's 2020. Now, 2021. Okay. So again dahil hindi pa substantively enacted yung proposed law at December 31, 2020, ang ginamit pa rin for financial reporting purposes sa 2020, 30%. Kaya lang, yun na nga, eventually naging batas na, okay, at ang effectivity niya retro, July 1, 2020. Kaya sabi rito, in 2021, the company paid the 2020 income tax due of 150. So, iba yung ni-recognize natin ng current tax expense doon sa actual na binayaran based on the new tax law. So, which is 30% hanggang June 30, tapos 20% starting July 1. Okay? Now, paano entry niyan to record the payment? So, ito na yung in accordance with the PIC guidance. So, entry to record the payment of the 2020 tax due. Debit, income tax payable. Ang nakaset up, 180. Credit, cash. Ang binayaran, 150 lang. So, may difference. Yung difference na yan, okay, income tax expense. So, as noted earlier, dun sa composition, di ba? ng tax expense. Okay? So yan yung tinatawag na adjustment. Okay? Doon sa current tax expense applicable doon sa prior period. Okay? So recognize yan in current period profit or loss. So adjustment in particular yan sa current tax expense. Okay? Kasi nga iba yung ginamit sa FS ng 2020 kumpara dun sa actual na binayaran. Okay? Ang problema, nakaset up na yung deferred tax liability at deferred tax asset at 30%. I-re-measure yun. So, gagawing 20%. Okay? So, the remeasurement of DTL. Of course, from 30 naging 20, ang effect yan, mababawasan ng deferred tax liability. By how much? So, ito yung nakaset up kanina na 60. Should be 200,000 times 20% lang. Okay? So, dapat 40,000 lang. Okay. So, 60 less 40, nag-decrease by 20. So, entry, debit, deferred tax liability, babawasan yung liability. Credit, income tax expense. So, yung remeasurement of deferred tax assets and liabilities, adjustment yan sa current period kay profit or loss. So, recognize in current period P&L. So, ganun din ang gagawin sa DTA. So, ang nakaset up kay 30,000 should be 100,000 times 20% lang. So, dapat 20,000 lang. Ang naiset up 30. So, i-remeasure. Babawasan. Debit, income tax expense. Credit, deferred tax asset. So, remeasurement of DTL and DTA. Okay? Then, yung current period. Okay? Taxable profit sa 2021, 800. So, current tax expense 2021, 800,000 times 20%. Debit, income tax expense. Credit, income tax payable. Okay? Then, yung recognition of DTL and DTA. Okay, so notice, yung cumulative na to ibig sabihin, ito na yung as of, okay? These dates, yan. So, yung cumulative TTDs, nag-increase to 350. So, previously, 200 lang. So, increase by how much? 150. Okay? So, DTL on the TTD. So, 350 minus 200, increase by 150 times 20%. Entry to recognize DTL on the increase in TTD. Debit, income tax expense. Credit, deferred tax liability. So, recognition of deferred tax liability on the increase, increase in TTD. So, 350 less 200. Okay? So, on recognition of DTA on increase in DTD. So, 220 minus 100. So, 120 times 30%. Or rather, 20% yan, using the new tax rate. Okay? So, entry. Okay, mali ito Ano lang ito? 24 lang. Bakit naging ano yan? Pakibago mo lang yan. Okay? So, hindi na bura dito yan. 24 lang yan. So, entry. Debit, deferred tax asset yan. 24,000. Credit, income tax expense. Okay, now, let's compute the tax expense for 2021. Composition. Current tax, as computed earlier. Okay, adjustment for current tax of 2020. So ito yung kaninang 30,000. Ang naiset up 180. Okay? Based on the 30% tax rate. Eh yung actual na binayaran lang 150 considering the new law. Okay? So adjustment ito sa current tax expense. Kaya pag tinanong current tax expense, ito ang sagot, net ng 30. Okay, remeasurement of DTL, nabawasan ang liability. Okay, so mabawasan ang expense. Remeasurement of DTA, nabawasan ang asset, pag-increase ang expense. Then, yung deferred tax expense on increase in TTD and yung deferred tax income on increase in DTD. Okay? So pag ang hinanap, deferred, ito yung deferred. So current tax, deferred tax. So total tax expense. Number 2, delta. Okay, so yan ha. So accounting for income tax with emphasis on change in tax rates. Okay, so in accordance with PAS 12, the PIC guidance Q&A number 2020-07 and PAS 10. So by the way, may alternative computation tayo dito, no? So ito, for disclosure purposes, dapat ganyan pagka i-disclose. Pakita yung current tax, yung adjustment sa current tax related to prior period. Okay? Remeasurement of DTL, DTA or yung effect, yan yung tinatawag na effect of change in tax rates. And then, okay, yung deferred tax expense or income on origination or reversal of temporary differences. Okay? So ayan, mga required disclosures yan. Pero kung magko-compute ka lang ng expense, tax expense, pwedeng ganito na lang. Okay, for convenience. Although, hindi makikita ito. Okay? So ito yung alternative. Current tax, okay, 160 minus mo yung adjustment na 30. So yan yung current tax expense. Tapos yung deferred tax, again, generally, change in DTL yan or change in DTL and DTA. So what happened to DTL? Nag-increase. Ending minus beginning. Yung ending, ito siya. 350 times mo ng 20%. So 350 times 20%, that is the DTL at December 31, 2021. So magkano yung beginning? Okay, that's 200,000 times 0.3. Okay, so yung kanina. So ito siya. So 350 times 20%, yan yung should be. Rather, yan yung ending. Yan, ending siya. Okay, ito yung beginning. So what happened to DTL? Nag-increase by 10,000. Okay? So kaya lang, yung 10,000 na yan, bakit nag-increase? Okay? Actually, net na yan. Ito yung 10,000 na yan. Actually, nabawasan yung DTL by 20 because of the remeasurement. Pero nag-increase by 30 because of the TTDs. Increase in TTDs. Kaya 20, ito yon 20, decrease, 30 increase, net increase, 10. So, net increase in DTL, 10,000. So, DTA, ito naman yung DTA. 220 times 20%, yan yung ending. Minus yung beginning. Okay, so ito yung ending, ito yung beginning. So, dito rin, ito yung ending, ito yung beginning. Okay? So, nag-increase ang DTA. Anong effect nun sa expense? So, pag nag-increase ang DTA, mababawasan ang expense. So, income siya. Okay? So, benefit. Or ano tong 14? Ito actually yung 14. Nag-increase actually yung DTA ng 10,000. Pero nabawasan ng 24. Okay? Rather, nag-decrease yung DTA rather. So, nag-decrease yung DTA ng 10. Pero nag-increase ng 24. Kaya yung net increase niya, 14. At dahil asset yan, nag-increase ang asset, anong effect niyan sa expense? Decrease. So, current tax, ito yung current tax. Ito naman yung deferred tax. Current, deferred. So, deferred tax, net benefit or income. Kaya, current tax 130, net deferred tax income of 4,000. Kaya magkano net? 126. You will get the same. Okay? So, kaya yung pinaka-template ko sa pag-compute ng tax expense, current tax, okay? Then, deferred tax. At ano yung deferred tax? Net change in DTL and DTA. Yun nga lang, for disclosure purposes, ano yung increase-decrease na yan? Ito yun. Yan, ito yung increase-decrease. So, dapat kasi naka-disclose yan. Okay, so that's accounting for income tax with emphasis on change in tax rates. And kung ano yung gagamiting rate, okay, in computing current and deferred taxes. Okay, so ayan, of course, kung nag-enjoy ka sa ating video, may natutunan ka, may bagong kaalaman, or nalinawan ka, don't forget to subscribe. Okay? So, and tell your friends also. Okay? Para okay, maging member na rin sila ng Ray Ocampo online. Yan. Okay? So, maging subscriber na rin ng ating YouTube channel. Okay? So, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.